So welcome back. This is another video on my aquaponics setup, and really what I have here is a 5-gallon bucket tomato aquaponics setup. It's deep water culture. I have a bubbler system that is a 2-section pump and goes out to 5 buckets each, and it just tees off, goes down the bottom of the buckets and goes out to an air stone. And what I've done here is covered up the buckets in black plastic trash bags. The reasoning behind that is to slow the algae growth that's inherent with these systems. You can't really put anything in there to affect it, so the best thing you can do is make a really dark environment that just doesn't promote algae growth real well. Now these specific plants were leftovers from plants that I had for sale this spring that I had started. They were left over, didn't know what to do with them, didn't really want to put them out in my actual growth because I have 200 plus tomato plants set out in 7-gallon grow bags. So what I did, these were roughly this tall, and I took them, kind of soaked them in water, got most of the dirt off, held them up in my hand and just hosed off the roots and picked out all the pine bark and debris that's in a lot of your potting soil these days. So I got them cleaned as well as I could, and I put them in these little 2.5 inch grow cups and filled in around them with river rock, just kind of support them, filled in around them. So what the problem is that I've come up with, or had problems in the past, is you end up with your bucket, but obviously your plant is consuming your hydroponic solution. So either you're going to have to untape it, lift the lid up, and refill it occasionally, which is time consuming and not really what we want, or you're going to have to come up with a solution. So what I've come up with is nothing more than a little plastic piece of tubing. My wife bought me these skewers for shish kebabs at Walmart, and these little corks, they're little stoppers, and I cut the wood tops off those little corks, which would be right here. I just cut them off with a little oscillating saw, and I take a drill, pop a hole through it, the top of the bucket. Obviously, once these are off, I drill a little hole in here. It makes it easier to poke the skewer down in there. Once it's down in, it's good and solid. You're not going to pull it out. And I have a different bucket that I just use kind of as a trial setup so that I can mark my sticks where I want the full mark to be. And realistically, you want your cork to set just about where the bottom edge of your water, when this green mark right here is showing, the bottom edge of your water is right at the bottom edge of the grow cup. And the reason behind that is you don't want to flood all of your roots completely. As I'll show you here in a minute, these kind of grow real fine roots when they start growing hydroponically, whereas your roots in soil tend to be real thick and kind of bulky. These are real fine feathery roots, real pretty roots. So you don't want to flood them completely, so what I do is set that so that when it's coming out, and I try and keep these all level right here with about a 1/4 inch sticking out, and that's just really nothing more than a guide to guide the buoy going up and down. So that's my measurement, and then I take a larger drill and pop a hole in here, and I use the top part of that stopper just to cover that up. So as you can see over here on this Abe Lincoln, that's really what I've done on this one is, whoop, I stole the stopper off him. I guess I gotta put that back on. I just have the hole, and I have the little piece of, let me see if I can straighten that out a little bit. Little piece of cork, and it's just sitting there floating. As it goes down, I can come in, put a funnel in here, fill it back up to where I want it, and then cover it up again. It's in pretty good shape. So, I mean, it works real well. It's pretty easy to get these in even after the fact. It'd make more sense to do them as you were doing it, but at the time I just needed to get these plants in place and wasn't really thinking about refilling them. So I learn a little bit more every year, but this is really what it amounts to. So if you want to swing around here a little bit, you can see this. To make this happen, once you have the holes drilled and this piece of plastic in place, all you're really going to do is lift up onto it. You can see my root mass and how it's growing. Down there is real pretty root mass, real fine white. You're just going to dunk it down in, slide it up through, and then you're in place. You're in business. So then we can wrap this back around, get it taped up. I'll cut a slot up through here so that it's not being disturbed and it's free to float up and down. And there you have a complete setup of how to measure this. Now I recommend, I use not a pre-mixed hydroponic solution. I mix it myself, and I recommend to make sure you keep your roots about 80 to 90% covered. If they're continually growing roots down, they're getting stronger, but all that root growth is also taking up a lot of what could be going up here. So once you got a decent root mass growing, and you can tell by these plants the color of them, how dark they are, and the yellowish influx on the tips of the plants, or light green. These plants are healthy and they're growing very well. So that's really where you want to keep them. So you want to keep your hydroponic solution going pretty well accurate. It isn't real hard. You're going to need a parts per million scale, and make sure you have your pH somewhere in balance. Tomatoes are an incredibly tough plant. They're probably you got to do something to kill them, so they're a real good plant. But this is just kind of an aquaponics setup that I kind of followed on a couple of years ago, and have kind of improved on it a little bit as I went. And it seems to be working real well. We'll update it through the summer. This is May 21st. So we'll update it through the summer and show production. And if you enjoy the video, like it and share it, and hope to see you again real soon.